we are here once again with another special guest. It's been a while since we've had one of these guests on, and it's none other than the incomparable Sara Jay.
Hi! Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. And as we always do when we have guests on the Express Truth, is to get to know who you are and just have a bit of a conversation. So before we even get into the meat and the bones, what would be the best way for people to get in contact with you? Let's get all of your socials and all that kind of stuff out of the way first.
Well, I have a site where everything you could ever possibly want to find about me is directly there, and that would be sarajlinks.com. You can go to that site, and it has a link to just about everything that I do.
Nice and simple. Mm-hmm. And that's all of the snaps, and I guess you're on Cam Soldier and all that kind of stuff as well?
I am.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, for people who don't know, which I would imagine is going to be a minority, but for people who don't know, could you give a brief description and overview of who you are, Miss Sara Jay?
Well, I'm an adult film star, a producer. I manage talent in the adult film industry as well. I've been in the industry 19 years. That's career, as far as my career goes. That's a brief synopsis.
Perfect.
So how did you get in? How did you get into the industry?
It was intentional. It was something that I wanted to do. It was something that I seeked out. I had my husband take Polaroid pictures of me. I took those Polaroids to the library and scanned them on a floppy disk, and then brought that floppy disk home and started emailing anybody I could find an email address for until I met some connections and had my first couple scenes, and those scenes kind of snowballed into more scenes because I was very enthusiastic and I did well, and that's the way it went.
Okay.
Floppy disk. I should explain for people, for the millennials and others of an age who don't know anything about floppy disk and might think, what on earth? Is that some sort of sex aid or something? But in the olden days, also, before USB and micro USB cards and all that kind of stuff, computers had a little slot in it where you'd slot a little piece of plastic, had a little bit of rubber ring, I guess, internally, which would record data. So that's what Sara is referring to.
It is. That's very true.
See, you're clearly someone who has been in the industry for some period of time. I'm not going to ask your age or anything like that.
I'm 41. I'm proud of my age.
Oh, that's something different.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I feel I look great for my age, so I would rather look great at 41 than tell people I'm 32, and people are like, oh, she looks a little rough for 32. No, I look amazing for 41.
I would not disagree. You're clearly looking after yourself, and apart from your physical, like body-wise enhancements, I take it you don't delve in any like facial plastic surgery and that kind of stuff?
No, I just got my tits done and my teeth done.
Teeth.
Teeth are pretty important.
Very important.
Yep.
Perfect. So you've been in quite a number of scenes.
Mhm.
Are you still with your husband that you started off in the industry with?
No, we've been divorced maybe 12 years, I guess. 10 years, something like that. Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Things happen, and you have to move on for whatever reason. But I was married for 11 years, and the end of our marriage had nothing to do with my career choices. We just were growing apart.
I was going to say, people do grow and, become other people, and sometimes that's not in line with the person Yeah.
Of course, when you meet somebody, 18, 19 years old, you're not going to be the same person when you're 30.
So is that how old you was, Sarah, when you entered the industry?
Yeah.
18.
Yeah. Well, I was actually 19, and I was 19 when I met my husband as well.
Oh, so you was married already at 19?
Yeah.
So being married at 19, that shows that you was like somebody who was ready to settle down for sort of the rest of your life kind of thing. So
not really. I think you're jumping to assumptions. I felt like I met my partner and met my match, that we had common goals and that we were ready to take on the rest of the world.
yeah.
Not necessarily settle down at all.
Oh, okay. So it was just like you met somebody who you thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
like somebody that you have common goals with. That doesn't mean that you're going to get a house with a white picket fence and 2.5 kids. That just means that you met somebody that you feel like you could live with for the rest of your life.
So being
But
that,
I was wrong.
yeah, nah, I mean we all, when we're that age, we all go through things. So being that you was in that mindset of actually being with somebody as far as like long term, what got you into the mindset of actually getting into the industry?
Well, I was very secure within my relationship, and
Yeah.
I felt that he was very secure within it too. So why not, have some fun and make some money at the same time? I was always really open sexually, and I was kind of a late bloomer. So when we got together, I had very few sexual experiences, and I wanted to have more sexual experiences in a safe, controlled environment. Yeah. Where I could, explore, and I would also be able to bring home a check.
And was it as straightforward as that when you got into the industry? Was it?
Absolutely.
So it was just like you didn't feel like like you go to a new job, but didn't you feel like camera shy, or you fell straight into the game like?
No, it was something that I wanted to do. Like, I sought it out. I felt very comfortable in front of the camera. I felt very comfortable with my sexuality. My husband had made me feel very confident about my body and about everything that I was doing. So I didn't see anything wrong with it. I didn't have any kind of hang-ups or weird sexual hang-ups or anything. I was just, shameless. I've always been shameless.
Okay. That's definitely something different.
Definitely. So I guess would you class yourself as a exhibitionist?
For sure. Absolutely.
Okay. And just based upon, obviously I don't want to go too deep, but based upon your relationship with your former husband partner, would he have been more of like a voyeur, or?
He may have been more of a voyeur. He was kind of an exhibitionist as well, though. Like, he was just a little bit older than me, and I think slightly more reserved. Like, okay. But the things that I was doing and that I wanted to do were definitely not out of his realm.
Mm. And was it a classical? I say classical because a lot of entertainers I've spoken to have been in that sort of situation I'm going to say now. Was he within the industry himself, or was he totally out of the industry? Like, was he like one of the male talents, or?
No, not at all. I met him before I got into the industry.
Oh, of course. Okay.
Yeah. He actually did security at a nightclub and did private security for like strippers and entertainers and stuff.
So did it not affect? So Sarah, did it not? Being that you chose, because we've interviewed quite a few people from the industry, and we always get into the origins of like when they started out. So did he not start to feel insecure in seeing you on camera?
I don't think that he felt insecure in seeing me on camera. I think he felt insecure with, maybe not insecure, jealous possibly, at the opportunities that I had and the fun that I was having within my job and within my life. Because now that I have a career in porn, I have a lot of opportunities that open up to me to travel all over the world and go to places that are not easily accessible for everyone. And that was one of those things where I think that he may have been a little bit jealous about, to be honest with you.
Okay, so it's definitely so that's something that definitely put a strain on the marriage.
Yeah, the fact that I was traveling a lot and doing a lot of different things, and he wasn't. Like, he could have, but I think he would give me the space to do my own thing, and in doing so, he ended up being a little bit resentful that he kind of created this situation, and he didn't really want to participate anymore.
So I'll tell you the truth then, Sarah, because we're starting to warm up. I'm very familiar with you. I'm very familiar with your career. So I know that you're like a businesswoman as well. Like, you got your own thing going on. So is that something that you apply in other areas as well, outside of do you apply that same business mentality in other areas of your life? Like, do you have other things going on outside of the industry? Like, in case one day you ever was to hang it up.
No. I actually live porn 24/7. I'm standing in my office right now. That's what I do. Like, my whole life has gone towards this industry and what I can make from it. It's important to me to put a positive impact on the images that we produce.
Yeah.
And it's important to me because I know that these images that we produce, whether people want to admit it or not, are images that are burned in their head for the rest of their life. And they create subconscious thoughts and subconscious feelings. And I'm responsible for that. And I take great pride in that responsibility. And I feel that this is my calling. This is what I was meant to do.
Very good answer. Very good answer.
Just off the back of what you just said, I mean, can you elaborate a little bit more in regards to the positive images? I mean, just elaborate a bit more on that. Like, what are you doing differently that's maybe not been done before or is being done?
I just believe that you need to be the change that you wish to see in the world. And the main change that I wish to see in the world is that we all look at each other evenly and unbiased. And you shouldn't see somebody for the color of their skin, but for, maybe the pleasure that they can provide you or the pleasure that you can provide them. And so the movies and the productions that I produce, while skin color is often different, it's not fetishized. And I feel like people's skin color shouldn't be fetishized in that kind of way. So, I might make a movie that would be classified as an interracial scene, but there's nothing really strong racial in that scene. It just happens to be two people that are different colors.
So you don't get down with the crazy stereotypes that
no, not at all. Never. No, we don't put black people in typical thug and robber scenarios. There's no we try to even stay away from cuckolding and stuff like that a little bit too. It's a little bit hard because that's what part of the genre is, and that's what sells. And we are producing content for a racist world because the world is a racist place. But I try to steer clear of those kind of negative connotations towards people's ethnicity.
Well, I know you got a few scenes with you got a few scenes where you do things differently, and you're definitely more popular. I would say. I mean, maybe don't take it the wrong way. I think that you've got a very large following of the black community. To be honest, is that something that you intentionally tried to do, or did it just happen like that?
It happened like that, but then because it happened like that, I was young when I got started in the industry. I didn't realize there was so much racism within porn. I didn't realize there was such a need for images that allows you to accept sexuality between two people of different races. I didn't realize that was such a need. But now that I've been in this industry, to have a scene between a black man and a white woman and to not have it have race play, that's a major need within the industry. Not every time that a black woman or a black man and a white woman have sex, not every time is she stepping out of her social norms of taboos. Sometimes they just live in the same building. Sometimes it's just her, it's like her boss. Sometimes she's his boss. And it has nothing to do with the fact that they're different colors.
Yeah, that's definitely true. That's definitely true. So, no, but what do you reckon about that?
You know, there's plenty of people that like redheads, and there's plenty of people that like blondes. But like, why does that have to be fetishized? It doesn't, and it's not fetishized in porn usually, but skin is. So I feel that that's something that it's difficult, and it's a difficult subject to approach, and it's a difficult subject to like fully produce that kind of content. But I make my best effort to do so.
Yeah, because you got quite a big, you're quite popular over here. You've been over here a few times, haven't you, as well?
I come to the UK every year, at least once, sometimes twice. Most of my content that I produce on my YouTube channel is produced in the UK.
Okay, well, when you come back, we definitely
I'm usually there in the fall.
Yeah, well, I did get the news, but I think we couldn't make your dates didn't marry up with our dates, unfortunately. But trustfully, as Prime said, we'll definitely make that a reality. So just on the same sort of theme, I mean, as you stated, when you came into the industry, you didn't expect, there to be this kind of level of racism kind of thing going on. Now,
it's just a reflection of what's going on in the world.
Of course. But I guess it's magnified, I guess, within that small sort of environment, though, I guess.
It definitely is. And I feel like whether it's that the world is a reflection of porn or porn is a reflection of the world, I'm not sure. But only one thing that I can do, and that's to change the way that I behave, change the way that I act, and then change the content that I produce.
Is that something that you've kind of, in regards to your personality or your sort of ethos, is that something that you've always had, or has that built over a period of time of being exposed to people and situations and thinking, well, I wasn't, this doesn't gel with who I am as a person, and then thinking, actually, I want to champion making a change? Or
it's something that I've always felt really strongly about since I was a kid. And to carry that over into like my adulthood, it was so necessary, because the longer you live, the more you realize that love and unity is what's needed. Understanding and peace is what's needed. So, if I can provide that to the world in even in my little tiny way, then that's what I can do. And I really feel that that's my calling, to be a part of this industry, because I'm very sexual and I really enjoy sex, but also to be the change that I wish to see,
Yes.
I would love it for, mixed couples, no matter what your mixes are, whether you're, Indian and white, or you're Honduran and black, or whatever. It's my dream to have people coming together and not be, looked down upon or questioned for their choices of who they decide to be partners with. Like, no, people, obviously, if we can create images where, you see people of different ethnicities having sex together, then it will be less of like a shock, It's
yes.
like, oh, we've seen this before. Let's start normalizing this. And I think that there's nothing abnormal about having sex with people outside your race. So I like to normalize it, like it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it. I totally get the point and the stance where you're coming from. So this is something that your parents or parent have clearly sort of driven, sort of
No, it was actually the opposite. Yes, I grew up in a racist household.
Oh,
okay. Let's get into that then. So, what is your background? Are you Jewish?
I'm not. I'm Irish and German.
Oh,
And
okay.
I grew up in a household. My mom was born in 1952,
Yeah.
and she grew up in a very white neighborhood that was adjacent to a black neighborhood, but they never crossed paths. She had no interaction with people that were not white. Never. And my parents are both the same. They really didn't have any interactions with non-whites at all, especially not anybody in the Latin community, but definitely not blacks either. Like, I'm from Ohio and the Midwest, and to hear the things that like my mom and my dad, who are wonderful people, say really hurt me, because I didn't understand how they could say the things that they said and still be the people that they are. And it took me a long time to forgive them, because that's the way that they were brought up. That's the environment that they were brought up in. They don't know any better, because they didn't have any interaction with anybody of any other race, or I don't even like to use the word race, any other ethnicity, you know? They didn't really
Yes.
have any interactions with any people that were different than them. So they didn't know any better. And you can't always, forgive somebody for ignorance, but you can teach them.
Oh, yes.
That's what I did with my life. I
So-
spent my life trying to express to my parents that people are different and not all people are the same. There's shitty ones out there, there's good ones out there, but the color of their skin and their upbringing makes no difference. And it took them a lot of time and to be able to, they had to leave the area of Ohio and travel, and they moved several times. But in the past 20 years that I have been in the adult industry and that I was married and divorced, my parents have fully reformed. They are so apologetic of the way that they formerly thought. But the thing is they didn't know any better. They didn't know any black people. They didn't know any Indian people. They didn't know any, people in the Latin community.
Of course.
They didn't, so...
Were they actually, was your mom actually from Germany or German heritage?
My grandparents are. No, my mom and dad weren't.
Oh, well, yeah, it's a different time, Sarah. I know it's definitely upsetting, but so what they used to say things to you. So if you don't mind me asking, so of today, like where you're at in your career and things like that, how do your parents react to the fact that you, at the time before they knew better, how did they react to the fact that you were like sleeping with black men and things like that?
Yeah. Well, in high school was probably the worst, and that's before I lost my virginity. But I didn't really know any. I knew two black people in high school, and I always wanted them to come over and hang out. My parents would be like, no, and I never really understood why. And then my parents would really casually, very, very casually, throw around racial slurs, not even in a derogatory way, just that's just what we call these people. And it was really upsetting, but you could tell because my parents are good people. I was like, where is this coming from? Don't you realize every time you say these words, you're hurting somebody? And they didn't, because they didn't know anybody. They didn't know any black people. They didn't have that association to be like, no, I didn't realize that really hurt that bad. Because white people, we've been put in a position of power, or we've been in a position of power throughout history for ever. So you can call us cracker or whatever kind of hillbilly word you want to call us, and nobody cares. They're like, whatever. It doesn't hurt us because we don't care. It's whatever. But
water off a duck's back kind of thing. And also, I guess for that type of for the generation, second generation, and even up to people to this day, if you consume in a certain environment and you're not exposed or don't have the experiences to other people, and you watch certain media or read certain news articles, etc., your view on other nationalities is going to be totally different, apart from you having a real life experience. And at that point you can then form an opinion and say, actually, this guy is okay, and it should be on a case by case scenario, not just saying on hearing what the newspapers and the media and the politicians are saying. Actually just going out and experiencing it.
For sure. And honestly, social media has helped with their understanding so much too, because then they get to see the world and not just their local communities. But my parents have definitely gotten out of the Ohio area, the Midwest. They've traveled all over the U.S. and they've made friends, all different types, shapes, sizes, colors, and it's really opened up their eyes on like how narrow their view was. We lived in a white community with white people as politicians and white people as media, and we were constantly fed that the black people were poor and they were trouble and they lived on this side of town and everybody else needs to live on this side of town away from them. That's honestly like what the news and the media like always like kind of like shoved at us. And of course, me being a rebel, I'm like, what's on that side of town though? Like what's over there? So it's one of those things where you can't be mad at them. You just have to educate them, and it took a while, but it really, you can make a difference. Just one person can make a difference.
Oh yeah. I would definitely, and you make a difference within your immediate surroundings. You don't make a difference to the whole world, but if each person takes that responsibility and takes up that mantle to say, look, I'm going to make a difference and do the right thing, then the people around you will see that difference and think, oh, and it starts, it's that ripple effect. You throw the stone in the water and it creates those multiple ripples. So
if I can do that with my parents, I got to be able to do something with the images that I produce for the whole world to see.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed. No, that's very interesting. That is. Are you an only child, or do you have siblings?
I am. No, I'm an only child.
Okay. So that's another different dynamic as well. I guess. Yeah. Being in. Yeah, I can kind of understand where you, from what you've said at least, how you've arrived at the point where you're at now.
Yeah. Like I look back on the way I was raised and my mindset, and my mom always taught me to like be so sweet and kind and good and nice to people. It was like really important to her that I was sweet, that I was nice, that I treated people with respect, and at the same time, I just didn't understand like how all that can come out of her mouth, and then she says like this really shitty negative stuff about people she doesn't even know. It just boggled me, and I just didn't understand it, and I ended up moving out of my parents' house shortly after my 18th birthday, before I graduated high school, even because I was just tired of hearing it, and I'd already expressed to them that kind of thing upset me, and they disregarded it because they didn't know any better.
So was your husband black?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I get it. So you was into black men from early then?
Yeah, like that's the other thing, and like it's one of those things. Like I've had to do psychology on myself and be like, what brought me to this point. Like I was a psychology major myself, so like I've done a lot of thinking, and my mom also realized that I was like a little weird kid. Like I was weird growing up. I'm not gonna lie. Like I had short hair and I was like a little bit punk rock. Like I had all these piercings and people made fun of me, and like I was just a weird little kid. And my mom always made sure that I felt very confident, and she was like, weird is good. Like unusual is unique. Unique is different. Different's good. And all of those things kind of played into the fact that I didn't know people of other ethnicities. But the moment I had the opportunity to, I wanted to, because different is good. Like it kind of like, even though she was racist, like her own teachings kind of didn't match up with it, And so the moment that I had interaction with people of different ethnicities than me, I wanted to know them. I wanted to know what food they ate. I was that weird little white girl that would sit next to the black girl at lunch and like smell her hair and be like, what do you eat? What are you doing? Like I wanted to know, because I didn't have the information, and I was very intrigued. And I think that developed into like a really strong attraction for people that were different than me. Not just black people, but people that are not Midwest white people, Like now that I travel the world, like I'm so intrigued and attracted to people from like far away places, because it's not what I'm used to, and it's exciting.
Yes, I bet it is. Let me switch change it up a little bit. As you said, you mentioned I don't think you don't have any piercings now, do you? Or do you?
Piercings?
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think. I've still got, like, I closed up a lot of them, but I've still got, like, an industrial bar in my ear. And, yeah, like, at one point in time, I had, like, 13 piercings in my ears, and I had my tongue pierced. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
so
as I got older, I just wasn't really into it anymore and kind of let a lot of that stuff close up.
So this is pre you know, the world seeing you.
Oh, for sure. I was 7 years old and had like 10 piercings in my ear. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was like a weird little kid. Like, I had like punk rock, like straight up short punk rock hair. I was like a weird little kid, and people made fun of me all the time. But it was just the way I was. Like, I don't know.
And I bet you was one of the ones who used to pierce your ear yourself as well, right?
Totally, all the time. Yeah, with a thumbtack.
You're crazy. What about the tattoos? I've noticed you've got 3 or 4 tattoos on your back. You got
I might have 13. I might have 13 tattoos. Actually, I may be wrong. There's 14. I just got a new one.
Okay. So,
but that just lets you know how like tastefully they're placed. You didn't even see them. You hadn't even noticed.
Yeah. Well, specifically the one specifically on your back. What you've got a yin and yang. What are the other symbols?
I have to look because I don't remember. Like I've got a Scorpio sign on my neck, and then below that is a cartouche, which is where you put your name in Egyptian. Yes. My ex-husband, he was black, but his African part was Egyptian. So that was my tribute to him, as opposed to getting his name put on me, which I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
And then below that, I've got snake, because I was born in Chinese. I was born in the year of the snake in the Chinese zodiac. I'm a water sign, which is a water drop that's below that. And I've got a man and a woman in the shape of a yin-yang, which is a sculpture that I did in high school, which, goes back to all the stuff we just talked about. Like, I think that I knew from the beginning that this was my calling, was to, like, in whatever way I choose to do it, and obviously I chose to, do it through the sex industry, but I felt like my calling has always been something to do with race, something to do with unity and peace and bringing people together. So, like, I had made a sculpture in high school that was a man and a woman kind of curled up in a yin-yang, one black and one white, and I had it tattooed. But then below that, I've got Pluto. It's Greek, and that's the planet that rules my sign. I'm a Scorpio. Below that, I've got, like, an infinity symbol. And then below that, I've got another piece of art that I did in school that was like 2 spirits kind of intertwining, and one was black and one was white. And I drew that when I was like 12 years old, and I put that on my back as well.
Very artistic and imaginative, I would say, most definitely. You are aware as well that the powers that shouldn't be have deregulated, or whatever you call it, Pluto, and they don't classify Pluto as a planet anymore.
It made me so mad. I'm like, how is this possible?
It doesn't make any sense.
No, like, but it's all right. It's my tattoo, my dwarf planet, or whatever they want to call it now.
Exactly. But also another interesting point is that Pluto is a planet that is aligned with black people as well.
Yeah, and it's very dynamic because obviously it's changed over the years as well,
Indeed.
Yeah. It all comes together, like I'm not very, I'm not religious at all, but I'm a little bit spiritual, and I definitely believe that shit happens for a reason.
You just got into, before you jump in, I was just going to ask about the religion, and you just said that. Yeah. So when you say sort of religious, can you just elaborate a little bit more on that?
No, I'm not religious at all. I'm more spiritual. Like, I'm agnostic. I'm agnostic, which means that I don't know what I believe in. Like, I don't have any like solid firm beliefs, but I definitely don't believe in any of these man-made religions. They're ridiculous.
Okay. Yes.
But I do believe I'm not an atheist. My mom is an atheist, but like I'm not an atheist. I believe there's too much awesome stuff that's happened to me, and too many coincidences, and too many things that have like lined up for me to just believe that there's nothing. There's not anything else going on. No, there's something going on that I do not know what it is, and I'm not going to waste my time here trying to sit here and figure it out. Like, I'm just going to try to live my life and be a good person and treat others, with respect and treat others well, as opposed to spending a whole bunch of time worshiping something that may or may not exist or trying to figure out what exists. It doesn't matter. Like, what matters is the good in your heart.
Okay,
Agreed.
definitely, we definitely agree with that. So, switching kind of back into the industry, what number of partners do you reckon you're at now? Like scenes / partners? You think you're?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I tried to count one time, and I would guess I've probably done about 3,000 scenes. I have no idea how many partners I've had. Like, no clue at all. I don't know. I always, whenever I go to the doctor, I tell them 500 plus.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, I'm not quite sure. Like, numbers like that never really mattered to me. Like, again, I'm more about like results. Like, I take care of my parents. I have a dope spot in Miami. I'm able to produce content. I have a production company. I have a staff, of team members. And that's the kind of stuff that I am proud of and that I look at. Like, I'm not big into like, I've had sex with this many guys and I've done this many scenes and, blah, blah, blah. No, you know what? I live really great and I live the way I like to live. And that's what's always been really important to me.
So the industry's been very good to you, you could say then.
Yeah. But, it's what you make it. It's totally what you make it. So
financial freedom.
If you don't put like effort into it, if you don't treat it like a business, then it's not going to be a business,
So would you say that you have a cult-like following?
I never thought of it like that, but I do have a lot of fans, and some of them are kind of like really fanatical. And I've been able to touch a lot of people in a lot of ways, and I'm really appreciative of it. Whether it's helping somebody get through a military deployment or through a divorce, or aiding a couple with their sex life. I'm just really appreciative of my fans. I'm glad that I can help and that I can provide them some entertainment in that kind of way.
Most definitely. Well, I've had a look on the old Google and looked at Pornhub, and according to Pornhub, you're ranked 27, and you've got 270 million views on there. It sure is. I mean, 27. I mean, like, how many people are on there? I mean, there's thousands of
Yeah, I guess not bad for an old broad, right?
Well, I guess. Well, no, I was gonna say, I guess because of your age, you're technically you'd be classed as a MILF, right?
I've done MILF scenes since the beginning. Like, I think maybe my 10th scene was a MILF scene. Oh. I've always done MILF scenes, yeah. MILF has always been a role that was cast for women that were not built like children. I've never, even when I first started, I was never built like a child. I've always had wide hips. I've always had a big butt. And then, once I got my boobs, they're big boobs. They're not like little boobs. So, even though regardless of what my face looks like, my body was a grown woman always.
Okay.
Which I really prefer to shoot grown women as well, still to this day. Like, I like when I see a woman that is a full-grown woman making conscious decisions about her sexuality. That is a turn-on to me. It's like a solid green light. Like, this lady wants it.
Okay. understand. I understand. That's kind of yeah. That's so. I guess in regards to the scenes that you well, no, not even so much the scenes that you do. The production. I guess would that not involve like the more slender looking women? Because obviously that there's a market for for that type of look, isn't there?
There's definitely a market for it, I guess, right? But it's not my market, and it's not the market that I've created. I've never been a slender woman, and the traffic that I drive is not traffic that would look for that necessarily.
Yes.
Not to mention, like I said, as far as like an age situation goes, I've always gravitated more towards a full-grown woman that is very conscious of the decisions that she's making versus that allure of a young girl that's naive and you may be able to take advantage of her. I've always stayed away from that kind of like entertainment. I don't find that sexy, in my opinion.
Right, and that's very right of you to do. It's I would say it's wicked people who take advantage of people when they're they don't have receipt of all of the informations and they're clearly new into the industry. Male talent wise, it's come to my attention that some male talent floats in between genres. So you've got male talent who obviously will just do straight scenes, and you've got
let's
male
not limit
talent.
this to men. Women do the same.
Well, okay. Yeah, I understand this. Yeah, but I'm more focused specifically on the male talent. So, with the male talent that does both scenes, both types of adult entertainment, how do the women see that? Do they, is there any delineation between that, or do they not see any issue with that kind of stuff?
Everybody's different, and I can't speak for the entire industry. I can only speak for myself. And for me, personally, I don't care who you're having sex with as long as you have a clean test. If I feel like you might have a riskier sex life, no matter what that is, whether you're a whore selling your pussy every weekend or you're a man that happens to have his dick sucked occasionally by another man, or maybe you're into having sex with trannies, I don't really care.
Right. It's their decision, as we say. It's business, isn't it? Ultimately, you're not there to judge their lifestyle. It's as long as they're healthy. I understand. I was just very curious, and for some reason, I don't think.
Many times.
Pardon?
Yeah, I didn't hear you.
I was going to say I don't think I've asked any of our guests that question before. So I was just really curious to what the feeling was behind that. But it makes total sense because I guess it's business, isn't it? I mean, I guess
it's also personal choice. Like everybody is not the same, and what I might feel is fair and righteous for me, somebody else may not.
Right.
I think some of the best performers are performers that are adaptable onto whatever set that they come to. So, if a female, comes to a set and she can be submissive, and then she goes to another set and she can be dominant, and she can play, a MILF role in this set, and she can play like a crazy college girl on this set, that makes her more valuable. And I feel the same for men.
I understand. So, technically, is there not an age range to be considered a MILF, or is it literally just a body type?
I would say it's more of a body type, to be honest with you, because once you've got that body type, you're obviously old enough to be considered a MILF. When I started out, I think that I was 23, my first MILF scene. I mean, come on, like, we have 18-year-old girls out here getting pregnant, if they look like a full-grown adult. they're a MILF, right?
Well, to me, my understanding was it was people. I know you're clearly, correcting me on this, but I thought that term meant that it was an attractive sort of middle-aged woman. But clearly, that
I think that's not it. I think the term you're looking for is more like a cougar.
Oh, I thought, okay, so that's two different things then.
Definitely. I mean, MILF stands for Mother I'd Like to Fuck. So that means that it's somebody who's possibly had a child, which means that her hips have broadened. She's possibly had a child, which means her tits have gotten bigger because of childbirth, right? That means that she's probably looks like a full-grown woman. So it's like a visual. Whereas a cougar is more of attitudinal. It's like somebody who is sexually hungry for, like uninsatiable. Insatiable is the word I'm looking for. I keep on throwing all these words out there, but insatiable is the word I'm looking for. Somebody
right.
of an age who is insatiable, maybe a MILF specifically, who is insatiable, who wants to have a lot of sex with a lot of different people and in a lot of different ways, and is seeking out sex partners.
I see. No, that's great. That was a great response. No, that was yeah, that's left me a bit stumped of sorts. I did have another follow up, but based upon your response, I don't think my follow up is required. Definitely not. Sara, it's been wonderful. I want to really continue this on a little bit longer, but I think we're going to need to bring you back on for a part 2 and if necessary a part 3 to really, consolidate this conversation and get a bit more deeper into this. So I do thank you for your time. It's been a excellent conversation. And we will definitely be in touch again, and we'll knock this out in a more timely fashion to our first.
Well, I've enjoyed